put an end to this topic once and for all, turn Hubble round and show us Earth in real time, zooming in onto a place so that we can see what's happening at that place, and we know that there is something up there looking down on us from space. But they will not do it. They can't do it. It can't. It doesn't exist. It literally doesn't exist. It's all fraud. It's all fake. Pretty much everything NASA puts out is fraudulent. Nobody has actually really gone all the way across Antarctica. Yeah. Now there are millionaires out there who could assemble the resources to make an expedition and completely go across and chart Antarctica and make a name for themselves, being the first person to do that. Yeah. But nobody ever does. Now you can actually measure the temperature of the moonlight next to the temperature of the shade of the moonlight, and you'll find the moonlight is colder than the shade, the opposite from the sun. So the moon is throwing out its own light, and that light is the opposite from the sun. Now that tells you that it's not reflecting the sun's light. It's producing its own, and its light is different from the sun's. So, the scientific community have not told us this, because they won't tell us this, because it destroys this idea that the sun is lighting up the moon. The other thing that's about the spinning Earth is looking at the stars. Now, directly above the axis of spin.
Okay, he's wearing a black shirt, right? Now there's a white couch. It's off-white. It is a white collared shirt. Okay. What color is his skin? Come on, go ahead. Anybody. You have red in the background, black on his shirt, white on his collar. What color is his skin? Oh, come on, people. Playing the Masonic game. The Masonic game expands all the way to the moon. Not to mention the sun, right? The sun and the moon.
Is the pole star, Polaris, okay? Directly over the North Pole. And we're told that the reason that all the stars spin around the North Star is because the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. Okay, seems to make sense, because if you put a long exposure camera pointing at the North Star, you'll see the stars will make perfect circles around, perfect star trails. The only problem is the Earth is also orbiting the Sun at 67,000 miles an hour. Okay, the Sun is moving, dragging the Earth and all the planets up that way or that way at 600,000 miles an hour. So why do we see perfect circles? Because that's the slowest speed, that's slowest motion in that mix, and yet the Earth is moving 67 times faster that way and 600 times faster that way. So you should see the stars do all sorts of strange motions, but you don't. You only see them make these perfect circles. That tells me that it's the stars that are moving, not the Earth. If a pilot is flying around the curve of the Earth, then he should be dipping the nose down every 5 minutes. He should be dipping the nose down to stay around the curve. But the thing that really got me interested was, as you say, the gyroscope. In a plane there is an artificial horizon, okay, and it's based on a gyroscope. And if you spin a gyroscope on a surface, it will want to stay upright. You can twist and tilt the surface as much as you like, the gyroscope will stay upright. So if a plane has a gyroscope and it starts following the curve of the Earth, the gyroscope would stay upright, which means the artificial horizon will start to roll backwards. But it doesn't. That's absolute proof that a plane flies over a flat surface rather than a curved one.
Now, all these things that he brings up, talking about, hey, you know, logical evidence of showing that the earth is flat. There's no cameras, there's no satellites at the time that these Masons push the theory that the earth is a ball or a fucking egg. Actually, the earth as an egg goes back to was it Egypt or Kush Hindu beliefs, you know. Now Egypt was a powerful place. It's just that we know about God attacking Egypt. See, we don't recognize when God attacks Hindu Kush, and we don't respect the visual evidence left of on Earth of people being vulcanized. See, when we look at Pompeii and we know that the Lord controls the volcanoes, when we keep this into mind and we look at how Roman Pompeii was obliterated, again, people turned to ash in the poses that they were in when they were covered by this soot. It's easy to see the Lord's retribution. We will see the same thing here, but we don't respect that. He tells us over and over again through prophecy, but we don't respect that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you something that Mr. Smith brought. Is it ML? I think it's ML Smith. And it's almost a lesson. So we're going to look at some things that leads up to it. Now, these things aren't on the topic. It's just to show a series of lies. Now, I'd like to play that again, but you know, he's very well spoken. There's nothing you can really say to add to it. Sometimes simplicity is the best. Now, let's look at some things. So we last left off with King Drought, right? Entire kingdom of Israel found in Utah. Google Earth proof. The proof. So let's watch a little bit.
Utah. Come on, don't you play now.
So he goes from Judah City.
Crazy there. You check it out though. Last time it took me to Golden Spike. Judah City, I believe, in Utah. I put in Judah City. Wait a minute. It took me to Golden Spike, I think Utah. They call him Judah Golden Spike.
Alright, so takes us to typing in Golden Spike, figuring out what Golden Spike is. It's called Transcontinental Cover. Alright, Golden Spike National Historic Site, 45 minutes from nowhere in Utah. Now, most people think it's 45 minutes from nowhere. Here, we'll go here and click on this for a second. Alright, so when we start looking for Judah City, not too much comes up. There is a church out there, but Judah City Church in Utah. So What we're going to do there is we're going to type in Golden Spike, Utah, and see what comes up. When we type in Golden Spike, Utah, completing the Transcontinental Railroad. Okay, so a lot of you have heard me read it before. Now, hopefully, this makes sense to you. I always read the paragraph right before it. Women were strung up and syringed with chili water. That's the final sentence. If I go up, citizens could be whipped for any infraction. Petty theft could draw 200 lashes. Women were strung up and syringed with chili water. If peons refused to give up the land, the Ruals and federal soldiers moved in, raping and murdering. Stubborn Yakaris who showed title maps to their land signed by the King of Spain were rounded up and sold into slavery to Yucatan sisal planters at 70 pesos a head. And extra profit for the clientificos. Many of the Yukari women, like the Greek silhouettes of Brian's time, preferred throwing themselves in with their babies into the sea. Surviving Indians were left without woods, water, or any way of making a living off the land. In the United States, General U.S. Grant announced to investors that 7 million Aztecs are waiting to build railroads. Rockefellers, Aldriches, Goulds, Harrimans, Guggenheims, and McCormick seized the opportunity to buy cheap land and hire dirt cheap labor. If you're thrown into slavery, and the dirt cheap labor, the payment that they're making is to the person you're enslaved to, not to the actual people working. It says to buy cheap land and hire dirt cheap labor to operate rail and mine concessions. The Creole clientificos. Now, when it says Creole, these are Spaniards that were born and are whole-blooded Spaniards. They're born in the Americas. They've never seen Spain. They've been born on the Americas soil. This is what a Creole means. This is why the Creole are at the what? Top of the what? White supremacist system. That's fucking that Latins rule. Acting as middlemen and legal advisors, amassed quick fortunes through large legal fees, stock manipulations, kickbacks, and payoffs, such as subtle trickery and selling arms and ammunition to the Indian rebels that the government was officially exterminating. Alright. So the government were officially exterminating what, the Indians or the ammo that they were getting rid of. So they were selling bad ammo. That's what they were doing. So when we go right here, we are on page 147 of Mysteries of the Mexican Pyramids by Peter Tompkins. Alright. Surviving Indians were left without woods, water, or any way of making a living off the land. So they had to leave the land. This is in Mexico. So they had to leave the land and go into the United States, right? That's what we call it today, right? North America. So in North America, in the United States, General U.S. Grant. Now, General U.S. Grant became a president, right? So this is prior to him becoming a president. This is before the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad in 1869. 7 million. He announced to investors, people that are going to invest money into the railroad being built. Now that means logistics start happening when the railroads are built. Everybody benefits from this except for who? The fucking 7 million Aztec slaves that are going what? They're being thrown into slavery right next to the fucking Mayan slaves. Right? next to the what? To the survivors of the Gullah, the Yamasi, and the Guar. 7 million Aztecs are waiting to build the railroads. Rockefellers, Aldriches, Goulds, Harrimans, Guggenheims. These are the people you sue right here. Right here are their fucking names. History recorded this as a victory for them. See? So look, you got the Mayan settlements and the Hopewell settlements to the east, and you got the Aztec settlements to the west. Right? Now you see what's going on? So they enslaved you on two ends of the country and then had you connect the country. And then why is Judah City turned into Golden Spike? The ruling tribe, right? Come on, everybody can figure this out. They took the city of the ruling tribe and made the transcontinental what? Railroad and celebration, right? It's all right here. Just type in Golden Spike. This is a dead city. Its only importance was to show the victory over the children of the Bible. Now, we go through this. And we'll open this up. And this was, this is a time, there's no TV, fucking photography is just taking off. May 10th, 1869, Golden Spike links the nation by rail. So that means you can cross the nation. Now, prior to this event, we have the 1862 Homestead Act, right? So you say, well, let's move this down first. And what is the Homestead Act? This is the thing I always forget, right? When I'm sitting there trying to figure out, this is manifest destiny. This is the document. Here, I'll type in see, this is what white people always teach you in school. Manifest destiny. And here in this society, you can manifest your destiny too. In the 19th century, manifest destiny was a widely held belief in the United States that its settlers were destined to expand across North America. Historians broadly agree that there are three basic themes to manifest destiny: the special virtues of the American people and their institutions is not created yet, so that can't be. America's mission to redeem and remake the West in the image of the agrarian America. History of the United States. Spokesmen included Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson. I don't know what the hell these people. Article bears the subject. Okay, I don't. Okay, whatever. And an irresistible desire to accomplish this essential duty. Okay, that isn't even a fucking. Okay, talking people into believing it's a duty is listed as a theme. Redeem and remake the West. Why did the West need to be redeemed? Special virtues of the American people. You gotta hear this shit, dude. It's sick. It's land theft. let's say there's Canaanites all out west. It was basically murdering most of them off. You got to understand what really happened. It says the historian Frederick Merck says the concept was born out of a sense of mission to redeem the old world by high example, generated by potentialities of a new earth for building a new heaven. Okay, so if God says he's bringing a new heaven, these people said, we'll do it. We don't need you. And we'll use your people as slaves. Historians have emphasized that manifest destiny was a contested concept, right? It was a contest. You watch some of these movies about it. They go out and stake land and lay claims and murder. That was there's an Indian settlement up further. We're gonna have to go in as a group, kill them off just to go further. Because we already know we're on land we're not supposed to be. Right? Historians have emphasized that manifest destiny was a contested concept. Democrats endorsed the idea, but many promoted Americans such as Abraham Lincoln, Ulysses S. Grant, and Whigs, and the most Whigs rejected it. Well, that's bullshit, because we already know Ulysses S. Grant's take on it. He used the Aztec to unite the railroads, which is a main theme of manifest destiny, but they ain't going to tell you that in this. Then they write it as if he was against it, which is bullshit. American imperialism did not represent an American consciousness. Yes, it did. It provoked bitter dissent within the the national polity. Whigs saw America's moral mission as one of a democratic example rather than one of a conquest. Here it writes down here, from the outset of Manifest Destiny, vast in program, in its sense of continentalism, was slight in support. Here, let me just, it's a good time to always, we grant you, kings of Spain and Portugal, by these present documents, with our apostolic authority, full and free permission to invade, to search out, to capture, to subjugate the Saracens and pagans, and any unbelievers and enemies of Christ, wherever they may be, as well as their kingdoms, their duchies, their counties, their principalities, and other property, and to reduce their persons to perpetual slavery, build a nation on their fucking necks, and utilize them to lift everything. Darth Vader, take these words and... Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, we're over here on Homestead, right? Oh, no, we're at Manifest Destiny. Listen to this bullshit, right? It lacked national, sectional, or party following commensurate with its magnitude. The reason it did not reflect the national spirit. Hey, listen, if white people are all over this goddamn soil, then it did reflect the national spirit. Alright, so you can see this whole fucking thing is biased. Each of these wars these people had to do over whose territory belonged to who. We feel this way, our laws are going to be this way, and this is why we're broken into states. It actually does reflect the nation's fucking morals. And that's the whole thing. You always have some fucking writer that's trying to write away the evil and make it sound like a blessing happened. Right? So you have these Canaanites that went into Europe have always written bad things about the Israelites because the Israelites came in and whooped their ass, and then the ones that went into Europe for the most part were leprous. And they write shit about you, that you're evil and all this shit for fucking decades. Then they send armies over here secretly to come steal everything you fucking have and take it back to Rome. And then what? And then Rome gives King James permission to write a book to help send more soldiers over here to fucking steal your land. So they use the writings that they took from you and write their own book. And it's prepared. Now remember, Columbus came in what? 1492. Now your New Testament and the rest of the Bible is ancient, but the New Testament is already prepared and packaged for you by 1611. And when they come over, they don't use the Ten Commandments. They don't use anything from the Old Testament. They use the New Testament, and their missionaries convert you into Christianity. So then that means you're no longer an enemy of Christ. You're no longer an unbeliever. You're no longer a pagan. You're no longer a Saracen. But you are a fucking perpetual slave. Your property was taken. You were separated from your God. You know not which county you came from. You do not know which Dutch or Duchess ruled over you or what kingdom you existed in. And that's what they truly did to you. And that's why you're considered lost. Now, if they felt you were lost, when Columbus came over, they fucking found you. Now, Homestead Acts are numerous, right? Numerous. There's several United States federal laws that gave an applicant ownership of land, typically called a homestead, at little or no cost, for the most part, no cost. It gave settlers 160 acres or 65 hectares. Remember, you couldn't get your fucking 40 acres and a mule to kick off farming, but these guys got 160 acres for no cost, or very little. An extension of the homestead principle in law, the Homestead Acts were an expression of free soil. Free soil. Whoa. Whose soil are you giving away? See, if the Homestead Act, okay, you go to Deuteronomy, and we go to Deuteronomy, and let's see, Deuteronomy 32 and 49, 32. Get up thee unto this mountain, Mount Abarim, unto Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab, that is over against Jericho, and behold, the land of Canaan, which I give unto the children of Israel for possession. Okay, so free soil. So you gave away our land at 160 acres per handout during the 1800s. Policy of Northerners who wanted individual farmers to own and operate their own farms, as to opposed to Southern slave owners, right, who wanted to buy up large tracts of land and use slave labor, thereby shutting out free white men. Right. So here you see their argument, right? This isn't to the slave. It doesn't have to do with slave land. It has to do with land being acquired by slave owners to put slaves back on land that they used to own. We wouldn't want them back on land that they used to own. They might be working and digging up stuff during farming, and they might see their own faces on some of these things. If these slaves see their own faces on some of these things, they ain't gonna believe they from Africa. That ain't gonna work. So we gotta give this land out free. All these white people come over here every day. They ain't got nowhere to go, no place to go. We need to get them a mule. Get them 160 acres. Let them start growing. Teach them to grow. Several additional laws were enacted in the later half of the 19th and early 20th century, the Southern Homestead Act of 1866 sought to address land ownership in inequalities among whites, right, in the South during Reconstruction. The Timber Culture Act of 1873 granted land to a claimant who was required to plant trees. The tract, who was white, the tract could be added to an existing homestead claim to a white owner and had no residency requirement. The Kincaid Amendment of 1904 granted a full section of 640 acres to white people, to new homesteaders settling in western Nebraska. An amendment to the Homestead Act of 1862, the Enlarged Homestead Act to whites, was passed in 1909 and doubled the allotment acreage from 160 to 320 acres to white people. According to the amended act, the National Stock Raising Homestead Act, raise up more stock, raise up more cattle, was passed in 1960. Again, increased the land involved to whites, this time to 640 acres for white people. In all, more than 270 million acres of public land to white people, or nearly 10% of the total area of U.S. land to whites, was given away free to whites, to homesteaders that were white. Now, go out there today and see how many black people live there, and tell me this land was not given to whites. This is your land stolen from you. And then, to top it off, when we know where Judah City is, when we look at this King Drive video and he shows you Judah City has become Golden Spike.
And look what they put. Look, they got their church, Spike. And look what they put.
Judah City becomes Golden Spike. I'll go a little back a little bit further. I want to actually hear him say it again.
Put in Judah City. Wait a minute. It took me to Golden Spike.
So Golden Spike, the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad. Now, the memorial site of the Transcontinental Railroad is actually a cover-up. Now, it's not the cover-up me and you are addressing right now, but here's the cover-up. All right, you've heard the story, you've seen photos that prove it. It's pounded into the head of every American school child, black or white, but mainly whites, over the age of 5. The U.S. Transcontinental Railroad was completed when the Golden Spike was driven at the promontory site. Now, all these slaves built the railroad, but for the inauguration, they get slaves out of there, right? And some white guy will drive the spike in front of white people, and all the white people will clap, right? Utah linking the East and West on May 10th, 1869. It's a lie. The Golden Spike National Historic Site, 45 minutes from nowhere in Utah. Now, to me and you, the slave, it is 45 minutes from our land. It is literally 45 minutes from the from Judah City. Judah City has been wiped off the map. Golden Spike has been erected on the map. And your ancestral home has been covered in dust. Not industry. Right now it's just dust. It says, does a good job promoting the lie. And pulls up pulls up a petty, tidy profit for Uncle Sam in the process. Replica Golden Spikes sell for $25 a piece in the gift shop, but don't look for the real Golden Spike here or anywhere in Utah. It's in the Art and History Museum at Stanford University. Now, when we looked this up, didn't Stanford come up in the first place? Right? In Palo Alto, California. Why? Because the spike was given to Leland Stanford. Whoa. See, I just highlighted his name when I was doing it the other day in the last video. I'll be damned. It's under something, man. Under Golden Spike. Now I'm just looking for Leland's name again. There it is. Leland Stanford. Golden Spike. It's on week. It was driven in by Leland Stanford. Now, I wonder what. Alright. Well, let's just look at him. There we go. That's what I thought. Leland Stanford Jr. is known as Leland Dwight Stanford until 9. Is the namesake of Stanford University, adjacent to Palo Alto, California, where the spike lays, right? Where the real gold bar that's made in the shape of a golden spike lay. See the game that they're playing? The golden spike itself is now an idol. Now, remember, they play this nailed to a cross thing, right? So if you nail somebody to a cross, right, you gotta spike them in, right? This is the secret, right? This is the only child of Governor Leland Stanford of California and his wife, right? Illness and death. Stanford University. Stanford Sr. told his wife, the children of California shall be our children. To honor his son, upon returning to the United States, Stanford devoted their fortune memorial to his name, Leland Stanford University, blah, blah, blah. So, why is this guy important? Because it doesn't say anything here, besides his dad was the governor of California during what? The 1800s, during the time of the Homestead Act, right? Golden Spike links nation by rail, right? 4 years after the Civil War, the United States is joined from coast to coast by transcontinental rail. As the ceremonial, the bullshit spike is driven into at Promontory Summit, right? Judah City, Utah. So this is what we should be looking at right here. Promontory Summit. What does promontory mean? Well, that's the whole key, right? So Judah City doesn't exist anymore, but Promontory Summit does. So let's erase Summit and see what promontory means. Definition. Let's see. Promontory. Definition. Promontory is a raised landmass declined abruptly from only one side. It can overlook water. So it's raised on one side, usually overlooking water. Promontory, a high area of land or rock that sticks out into the sea. Oh, so it does have to do with the sea, or a body of water, rock projecting into a body of water, a prominent landmass. So when we look at this word promontory, what do we see? What is there? Promontory. So you see the word promise, right? Or you see what the promise, the root comes from, prom, right? Well, let's see if they give a definition of prom. Let's see, 1600s. Definition: being in accordance with usual. Oh, that's formal. That's the word formal. Yeah, you can't really find that one. Let's go back, see if we can get Promontory Summit. I guess I should look at etymology, but that's where I fail at a teacher. Promontory, Utah, in Box Elder County, is the area of high ground of Brigham City, Utah, Salt Lake City. All right, Promontory Summit. It is notable as the location of Promontory Summit, where the first transcontinental railroad in the United States was officially completed. Okay, so here we have the Golden Spike again. Here we go. 50 years later, 3 of the 8 Chinese workers who were brought up the last rail were guests of honor at the Promontory Summit's anniversary celebration in Ogden, Utah. Again, you have Og, right? Ogden, right? When we were watching the missing 411 about the national parks, it said these big things, whatever they are, they make dens like a bear would. So, you know, even in the description, he was describing these things as being bigger than bears. Okay, so the most famous A.J. Russell photograph could not include the Chinese workers photographed early participating in joining the rail ceremony, because at the moment of the famous photo being taken, it was after the conclusion of the ceremony, and the Chinese workers were away from the 2 locomotives to dine at Strobridge's boarding car, being honored and cheered by the CPRR, Central Pacific Railroad Management. So there we have another company, the Central Pacific Railroad, right? Now, when you watch, there was a series that was on TV about the railroad getting built. It was on TNT or something like that. I can't remember the name of it. But when you, what's the guy? Common, the rapper named Common, or the artist that goes by the name Common, starred in that show. And you see when these people are working on the railroad, it's black people and brown people and black people and black people and brown people and yellow people. But for the most part, they all have afros. There are very few Chinese people in that show, and the Chinese people in the show, you know, I'm trying not to, you know, mix it up with another show, but I think they weren't working on the railroad. They were working in their own shop. But again, I can't remember the name of the show. The TV show. TV show Railroad. Hell on Wheels. Yes, that's the show. Hell on Wheels. When you watch Hell on Wheels, now why they name it Hell on Wheels? We've used a clip of Hell on Wheels when the little child is reading from the Bible, remember? Well, still. Here, we'll just click Hell on Wheels and we'll go to Google Images. It was hell for us. Now, there you have a picture of Common in there. You know, other times they support the rest of the white cast in these images. You know, think I'm bullshitting? There's an image of most of the cast right there. You don't see Common. Here, every time Common's take a picture of Common's take, it's just him and these two together. You rarely see a picture of all the cast with Common in the picture. You know. Here's one. Now, think I'm bullshitting? Okay, there's Common right there. My bad. Alright. So, let's see. Slaves building. rail. See if they show any pictures. No, this is just Hollywood showing you today that your brown ass built the rail. Now, when you look at this picture here, take that picture. Do Chinese pioneers get railroaded in the AMC's Hell on Wheels? The tale of the building of the Transcontinental Railroad, the steel band that wend the metropolitan east, the frontier west, is among the greatest in American history. No, it's not. It was the moon launch of its time, says Chuck Volin, assistant professor of history at the South Dakota State University. An epic feature of engineering human effort. Blah 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 blah. His new book, the way the iron concurs, but adds that if anything, its impact was more evident and dramatic. In a few short years, the railroad transformed society in ways that people of the time could never have imagined. That is true. By putting everything on a boxcar and then burning coal to get to the other side of the country, you're able to do the same thing to the West Coast and everywhere in between that you did to the East Coast, which is theft. It completely revolutionized communication and commerce. Commerce, for sure. Communication, sure, because you could set up another railroad then. Now, you know how railroads have junctions. You can then set up another railroad and start putting up poles. Now, who's going to put up the poles for electricity to be run? Oh, the same fucking slaves that put up the railroad. For people of that era, the railroad was the internet. That's why the announcement by AMC, the cable channel responsible for Mad Men and breaking out Zomdram hit The Walking Dead, that's the next big original series titled Hell on Wheels, would be set against the backdrop of railroads construction triggered a surge of internet interest and hope in the Asian American community. Well, why would Asians care about that? That's a bad time in Asian history, right? So it says AMC at first indicated that the stories of Chinese Americans would not be part of the series. Well, why is that? Well, let me tell you why. Because it never happened. There were a few. There were not 7 million. You understand what I mean? There might have been 1,000. When they looked for the survivors, they only found fucking 3. It was not 7 million. But in a statement sent to Speakeasy, the creators of the series now say that maybe broaden the show in the coming seasons. This was the chapter of America which the Asians loomed large, after all. Well, yeah, except for they were Afro-Asian. Now, it's important that I just opened that shit, but I already had on screen Afro-Asian. Refers to a person of mixed African and Asian ancestry. The term can also refer to modern descendants of Aboriginal, mostly uncontacted Asian ethnic groups such as the Negritos. So they're just telling you niggers or Negritos or Asian. They're telling you Afro people, Afro-Asian. There used to be a picture up, but I've used this too many times. So they took the picture down. Now, they don't have that much control over Yahoo as they do at Google. So if you type in Afro-Asian, they'll still show you the images of Afro-Asians. Because Yahoo's just not as controlled. Now, this is one of the pictures that was on there of Afro-Asian. Now, this person. So you see the game that's being played? The more you bring up that Negroes are actually the real Asians, and the Asians are the real Africans, the more this fucks the system up. But you don't care because you like the system, because you can go buy beer and fucking wine and anything you want. They promote some homosexuality. They promote what? Incest. Why would you want to live in a society without that stuff? Anytime you want, you can go next door when your wife is gone and your neighbor's husband's gone and try to hit on them. Anytime you want, you can go to the bar and do the exact same thing. You love this society. They hate you. What do they do to you? Marginalize you, right? That's what it's called, right? That's what it's called. Historically, Afro-Asian populations have been taken down by colonization. They have been marginalized, sent into slavery, perpetual servitude, as a result of human migration, Columbus, Cortez, on the acts of what? The Catholic Church, the Vatican, and social conflict, which is what? Dom Diversis 1452. We will use what is called religion, our religion and our belief in Christ, and we will call you an enemy of Christ, even though we're using your own documents to enslave you. Hence, the 1611 Bible comes with what is called the Old Testament. Reading the Old Testament has got me to this conclusion, to be able to look at this right here. The New Testament, it get me content to saying, I forgive the people that killed my ancestors and stole my land, and every day extract the resources out of the land to feed fat, white, evil people. Why, they're poor, sit here, languishing with us. This is the game, people. You don't want to see it for what it truly is. I can't help that. And Leland Stanford has everything to do with it, because this fake ass spike has been placed in the ground as an idol over the conquering of the Judeans and the rest of the children of the Bible. Now, why? Because the spike was given to Leland Stanford's dad, who was what? Governor of California, the president of the Central Pacific Railroad, and governor of California, by David Hughes, who had it engraved. The other things you probably are unaware of. The golden spike was only 73% gold. The golden spike was never driven into the ceremonial last tie, which isn't there either. Made of laurel, especially for the event, it was torn to splinters by rabid souvenir hounds minutes after the ceremony. The spike was positioned for nudging into the pre-drilled hole like shelf hardware in a ready-to-assemble Home Depot cabinet. Leland Stanford took a swing, and at first he fucking missed. And they still named a university after him. Yeah, because it's his dad's money, his dad's influence. His dad controlled California, and then he controlled the railroad in California. All money made off the backs of slaves. Okay, his railroad fortune did help to pay for the place. And how did he make his railroad fortune? Off of being the governor of California. If you want to set up a business, you've got to what? You've got to get permission. Says tipsters, Richard Felt trumps Mr. Picky by writing that the laurel wood tie was not in fact destroyed by the mob, but was instead taken to San Francisco, where it was destroyed by a 1906 earthquake. The wood tie that was destroyed by the mob was a replacement made of humble pine. Okay, why would they have a replacement at the ceremony? So they literally had a golden spike, okay? A golden spike, a laurel wood spike, and what? A humble pine spike? The fuck out of here. It's an idol. Do you see how all the hoopla is over the fucking spike? That means the spike's an idol. And what? California governor says, no, I want the spike across the street in the museum from the university that's going to be named after my son, Junior. Which really means the university's named after him. We don't call it Stanford Junior University, we call it Stanford University, right? Right, the motherfucker named it after himself and just played it off like he was naming it after his kid. You get it? The real ass bike, the one that ultimately fastened the final rail and made it safe for transport, was made out of everyday iron, like the rest of the spikes, driven into place by a nameless laborer, right? Likely from China or Ireland. Oh, actually, likely from a fucking American prison or American slave den. It's probably by, like the Wikipedia says, an Afro-Asian who was marginalized. Now remember, Irish people controlled towns at the time. Irish people created what? The paddy wagons and shit. They controlled patrolling the area. They started citizens on patrol, cops, right? Well, try that shit. And Chinese people, they were able to make shops. So shops have names. Police officers or paddy herdsmen, right, have names. Shops have names. So Chinese people have names. Ireland people have names. Indigenous servants who you do not want speaking their original tongue, they don't have names. They're holding hammers. They're carrying the iron. Okay, the two locomotives on display are not the locomotives that met in 1969. That's great. All right, most important of all, Promontory Summit is not the site where the nation's first transcontinental railroad was completed. No, it's actually the site where they took down the children of the Bible, their final city, or their head city. It says no matter what the U.S. Department of Interior tells you. Now, isn't that funny? Now, when we go to Hiram Art, where did he say we got to go to find the name of the original Indians? He says you got to go to the Department of U.S. Interior. Now, we know we're on the right trail because one of our breadcrumbs just highlighted, right? Right. No matter, Promontory Summit is not the site where the nation's first transcontinental. So this makes the site a historical site. So they needed a reason to make it a historical site. So you can't just go there and fucking start digging. They got the Homestead Act going on, right? If the Homestead Act's going on, how come Moab Desert is not somebody's home? How do they have all those historic sites out there if the Homestead Act took place? Because what? In 1890, Smithsonian Dickface comes out, right? And what does he do? He starts collecting the history of the children of the Bible from the lands that they lived in. Let me see real quick. What's that guy's name? It's not even on the tip of my tongue, but I have it in my phone. I think I did. John Wesley Powell. Now somebody sent me a link that's called British Secret Agent John Wesley Powell. Charles Kissing Cousins Darwin exposed at last. So John Wesley Powell and Charles Darwin, I believe they were from the same town. But again, there is something that shows John Wesley Powell that they believe he's connected to Britain. So you can type this in, British Secret Agent John Wesley Powell, and this will come up, and read it if you'd like. Now, all the shit you haven't read, it's stupid for me to read this. Anyway, the first continuous chain of rail from ocean to ocean met in August 15, 1870 at a dry creek bed named Comanche Crossing. Now, Comanche Crossing is where the real connection happened. By the unsung Kansas Pacific Railroad, because they didn't have enough clout to be able to control the press. You can't have two transcontinental railroad linking ups, right? Because the first one's a commemoration. The second one is actual, the actual event. Remember, it said only 4 years after the Civil War. They needed something. So in 69, they did this, right? They couldn't wait 1 more year for it to actually be done. So in May they did that, but if August is 1870, a year later, a year and a few months later, it was done in Kansas. For many years, a small drab concrete pylon marked the site, nothing like the 56-foot-tall golden spike replica relic of some forgotten movie promotion that cast a shadow of shame over Council Bluffs, Iowa. Now, ask yourself a question. If the Transcontinental Railroad is said to be linked up in Utah, then why is there a 56-foot penis erection in fucking Iowa? See, these are the real questions. What the hell does Iowa have to do with Utah? Now, let's see. We've gone over most of this stuff, right? Afro-Asian Homestead Act. Canker. Canker worm. The canker worm. Now, I'm gonna stop this. All right, now the canker worm. Now, there's a good chance I'll probably make this a different lesson. But M.L. Smith brought us the information on the canker worm. Now, this is really important because go to Wikipedia. Wiggy. Did I pass it? Did I pass it? I must have taken it down. I've taken it down. Boy, that's not good. Okay, so we're going to be looking at the cankerworm here in another video. No, we're just going to do it. Now, first we go to Psalms. Psalms 105. Psalms 105 and 34. Psalms 105 and 34. And he spake, and lo, and locusts came, and caterpillars, and that without number, and did eat up all the herbs in the land, and devoured the fruit of their ground. He smote also all the firstborn in the land, chief and the strong. Now, I think that's funny. And I'll show you why. Now we're going to look at the canker worm. Now, let's look over here real quick. Canker worm, Wikipedia. Now, let's look at the player. The fall canker worm. Okay, so canker worm is a moth. Now, this is a worm that transforms into a moth just like a butterfly. Of the Geometridae, that's Latin, all right? Family, Geometridae family. It is found in North America from the Atlantic Ocean west to Alberta. Okay, so now here's the funny thing. When we go to etymology, it goes specific name derived from Latin, Vernus, spring. Okay, so cankerworm, this is what it looks like. Where is that other thing? Here we have. Now, in what is called Easton's Bible Dictionary, Hebrew's yelek, or the licking locust. Now, we're talking about a worm that has the ability of changing itself like a caterpillar, and it turns out it's called a locust, which licks up grass of the field. That's what we just read, right? It did eat up all the herbs of the land. Probably the locust at the certain stage of growth, just as it emerges from the caterpillar stage, as Joel 1:4, 2:25. The word is rendered caterpillar in Psalms 105. Okay, so in 105 and 34 it says caterpillar. In Jeremiah 51 and 14 it says caterpillar. But RV, cankerworm, it spoileth and fleeth away. In Nahum 3 and 16, or as some read the passage, the cankerworm putteth off, i.e. the envelope of its wings, and fleeth away. So basically it makes a cocoon and then it sheds the cocoon and flies away. Now let's go back to this. This is important. Okay, so it is found in North America and from the Atlantic Ocean to Texas and California. Okay, so here's something that's very important. Here, let's scroll down real quick. See what else is there. Nothing, right? Okay, so let's go back one, and it says, whatever it is, and is the moth, is the fall cankerworm, is a moth family. It's found in North America from Nova Scotia, Canada, west to Alberta, Canada, because that's still part of North America, south to Colorado and California. Okay, so when we go down, we scroll down, biology, okay, and economic importance. Okay, so what's there? Okay, I'll do this. Open that in a new window, type it there. It's found in North America. Found in North America. Okay, so it says we're going to go to Psalms 105 and 34, and he spake, and the locust came, found in North America, and caterpillars found in North America, and without number, and did eat up all the herbs in the land, and found in North America, and fruit on their ground. Are you getting what the fuck is going on? I put these in order of how I would turn to their pages in the Bible. So Jeremiah's next, Jeremiah 51. So M.L. Smith brought this up and brought this to my attention, and I suggested that he do a video about it, and he says, I don't really do 51 and 14, Jeremiah 51 and 14. The Lord of hosts saith, hath sworn by himself, saying, surely I will fill thee with men, as the caterpillar found in North America, and they shall lift up a shout against thee in North America. Do you understand what's going on here? Why are you told these things happened on the other side of the world when all these insects are found here in North America? Now we're going to go to Joel. Now Joel should be next. Joel. And we're going to go, it said 1 and 14, didn't it? No, 1 and something. Let's go back to, it said Joel, yeah, 1 and 4, not 14, 1 and 4. The word of the Lord came to Joel, son of Pethuel. Hear this, ye old men, and give ear, all the inhabitants of the land, here in North America. I can prove it. Hath this been in your days, or even in the days of your fathers? Tell your children of it, and let your children tell their children, and their children another generation, that which the palmer worm hath left the locust eaten here in America. Well, we should probably find out what the palmer worm is, right? Since we can already see that this locust that they're talking about is the cankerworm, and it's found here in America. So what is the palmer worm? Palmer worm. Now, just watch it with me. Here we're doing the tropical Bible again. since that's where we got the other one from. I'm gonna take the tropical Bible and put it down here next to the other tropical Bible. And English is the pilgrim worm. Oh, where do you make fucking pilgrimage to, right? Where do pilgrims come? Oh, they come to North America. Here in North America. The Old English term, pilgrim palmer, pilgrim worm. Palmer's oil is pilgrim's oil. That's what's, okay, they just changed the fucking word on us. Is used in Jeremiah 1 and 4, 2 and 25, and Amos 4 and 9, like canker worm and caterpillar for the locust in one of another of its various species, or transitions from one to the other, from the what? The worm to the moth. These insects are very destructive, even before they reach winged state, right? So, let's go. What the hell is a Palmer's worm? Let's, are they gonna just kick out a Wikipedia? Give me a wiki. Give me a wiki! Yeah, playing around. Oh, it's got some funny name. Ditchomeris! Ditchomeris! Legula! The Palmer worm, the pilgrimage worm, the pilgrim's worm is a moth of the same fucking family as the canker worm, found in eastern North America. Does that mean only if I sit there and say, I'm gonna put the Palmer's worm down there next to canker worm, found in North America, eastern North America, found in North America. Don't you get it? They can only exist here. You don't see anybody taking any moths of destruction, worms of destruction over to the old world, because it would destroy fucking vegetation. M.L. Smith, sir, this is a brilliant find. This is a worm of destruction. Each time we read it here, it's destroying. 1 and 4. That which is left, which the Palmer's worm. Now there's no getting away from that. Palmer's right there. And we go to Wikipedia, we go to any fucking encyclopedia. Here in North America, the only place that exists. Everything in the Old Testament happened here. When they took us over there, who knows? We probably wrote shit over there and that's probably where they took it from. Who knows? We don't have the evidence just yet. But come on, you can see these pieces lighting up all over the map. Here in North America! Come on! Only in fucking America can you be tricked out of your own motherfucking land, told you from somewhere fucking else, when everything you read sits there and tells you, here in North America! The people that pretend that you keep on fucking slipping up and saying, we're not you. The black people are. They ain't gonna tell you the other nations you were fighting here in North America were black too. That's the game, people. This is the game. M.L. Smith. Bravo, sir. Bravo, sir. Everybody got to understand. If Hiram didn't do his part, we wouldn't see the link to the Department of the Interior. If Let Us Find the Truth didn't do his part, we wouldn't see all the linguistic connections, and we wouldn't have thought to use Google Earth. If 432 didn't do his part, we wouldn't understand the when Columbus came, when Cortez came here, he thought that the people were not human. His men thought the people were not human, because they saw things that they only attributed to heaven. Cortez had to keep reminding his men, you're not in heaven. let us find the truth says, hey, these people turned everything upside down. They wrote Montezuma and his people, the Aztecs, they thought Cortez was God. Oh, really? Cortez was there 6 days, and then they kidnapped Montezuma for fucking 8 months. Come on. I think Montezuma thought Cortez was the devil, and Cortez probably showed him through action. We would know about that stuff if these people aren't doing their parts. I didn't keep reading this, but Copper Warrior is. We got to understand, nobody fucking likes anybody. We say, I accept you for who you are and shit like that, and that's how people get along. It's called getting along. It's not called fucking likes. You say you're friends. Show me who you've been friends with since childhood. In this system, the way things are. No one. You're not meant to be. There's probably a few. But you know what I mean. You, the viewer watching, how many friends do you have that you still had a kid, that you still had as a child? You've been friends for fucking 20 years straight. I ain't talking about on again, off again friend. Fucking hanging out 20 years straight. You can't even stand your own family that long. I can't either. But you see what I'm saying? When we look up these different animals, only here in America. M.L. Smith texted me today, said, hey, you know what? They talk about the lion's den in the Bible. In the old world, in Africa, in Europe, they don't talk about lions. They don't have lions in Europe. But in Africa, where they have lions, they don't talk about lions living in dens. They live in trees in Africa. Mr. Smith says, here in America, the cats of the lion family, even though they're not called lions, wink, because who controls what everything's labeled? The white supremacist man. That's who controls it. So the bobcat's not a lion. A tiger is not a lion, right? But Latin already labeled, lion family, right? Right? So the cat family, right? Come on. See the bigger picture. God's names versus man's name. It don't matter if it's Latin or white supremacy, right? Latin's used in law, and everything's named after Latins, all right? Latins come in blonde as well. Blonde hair and blue eyes. They're just not German, all right? You think white supremacy has to do with just white skin? It has to do with Latin. That's why people that are from Latin America are called Latins. They're not called this, they're not called that, they're called Latins. That's why the invaders, when they're pure blood invaders and they haven't intermingled, they're called Creole. So, now, pay attention that all these things, when we didn't go to Nahum 13, 3 and 16. Now, all you gotta do is type in cankerworm and then open the topical Bible, blah, 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 with the bullshit pagan Christian sign, and you'll see it. Understand where, when 432 shows us where even Judah City is, and the city of Manasseh and all this shit, it's all in Utah. Understand, Ed showed us where Mount Abiram is, Mount Seir, Mount Nebo. He showed us all that. Everybody's doing their part, except for a few of you. If I'm only reading off 5, 6 names, and there's 6,000 viewers, I don't care if it's 1,000 viewing within a 3-day period. That's still 900 something people that aren't doing anything. I'd like to thank everybody that has donated so far. We are at $700 right now on GoFundMe. Now this is more of a Go Fund Us. Now this money has not been touched. I don't plan on touching it until I'm prepared to head to Utah to utilize it to purchase land to grow on, not to do too much else on. Now 16 people have donated. I like to thank those 16 people. I'd like to thank you personally, but I can't. I'd like to thank you on camera, but I don't have your permission to. If I read off your names, people that harass, that understand who these names are, they'll harass you personally. So there's 16 of you. I have your names. I thank you. I'll tell you what, one of the last people that donated left their name as, I'm doing this for my children's future. They understand this isn't a game. For whatever reason, they understand or have hope that I'm not going to fuck up the money that they donated. Unfortunately, you have to trust someone for this to be done, whether it's a person or corporation. Now, if you don't feel like you want to trust someone in this, then you shouldn't expect things in the future. These people that have helped, and there's been 2 people that have donated twice. So it's really 14. And those 2 people that donated twice, those are 2 people that went to Washington to protest the Catholic Church for the document I show you in every video now, since you don't believe it exists. But you're in perpetual slavery. Your donation money does not put food on my table. It does not put diapers on my child's ass. It doesn't buy my cigarettes. It doesn't buy my cannabisum. It doesn't buy water for my home. It doesn't pay my lights. It doesn't buy me new books. It doesn't buy me a new camera. It doesn't buy me a new computer. It does not buy me anything to put in my packing bag for me to be able to personally hike out of here or get to a location to be living out of my tent. It doesn't buy me jewelry for my family. It doesn't buy me silver to spend this way or that way. It buys a seed. Seed, seed, seed. Tools, seed, seed, seed. Water, seed, seed, seed. Land, land, land. Whether it's renting land or buying land. There's a place I can get a quarter of land, half of an acre. $150 a month. Right now, let's see, 150 each 2, 6. We can get what, 6 months right now? Let's see. 150 times 6. $900. I'm way off. So I'm thinking high. You know, high numbers, not high-minded, whatever. 150 times 4. Right now, we have enough for 4 months. 4 months on just 1/2 of an acre. $100 left over for seed and planting. Well, we have less months, and that's travel to get there. To go plant. Somehow buy water. And that's the biggest thing, getting land by water. So without water on the land, we have to buy water. Now, you can see how this works. Then somebody has to go out there and work the land, toil. I don't see many people saying too many things that's going to help us. This is a great idea. No offense. It doesn't help us. I'm thinking about it. No offense. It doesn't help us. It doesn't matter if you do the same thing. It doesn't matter if you start a GoFundMe for Utah and just don't steal anybody's money. Put your commitment where your words are. Commit to those words. So, I want you to think about this. I want you to pray to the Creator. If you feel bad, then don't partake. It's not for you. If you feel, then come forward. There's plenty of things that we need to get done. We need people once it's started. So, don't think this is a one-man thing. This is an us thing. Right now, me and 14 people, it's an us thing. Once we break ground, it's an all of us thing. But I'm sorry, these people care more about you because you're not gonna go one way or the other on this. Now, it's sad to say that people watch these videos, don't like me, are extracting the information and use the information directly against other viewers. That's sick. Like the GOCC said to me, like Rakar said to me, go start your own thing. You already have half my ammo. Look at Khalil Saeed. This motherfucker says he's original, bringing original topics, and he's going over every goddamn topic I've been over. Fucking Canaanites are here with you. The Indians aren't Canaanites. Some of us aren't Canaanites. I mean, some of us are Canaanites. All of us can't be Israelites. The motherfucker's got a video called Haya versus Allah. Says Allah is Haya backwards, but he doesn't worship the root. He goes for the fake. You'll see him in videos say Haya is God. Where did anybody learn Haya? Not a Haya, Haya. So it's just fucking games in people's mind. And that's alright. You don't have to be linked like cable cars with them. And I'm not doing a 666 sign. I'm trying to show you the finger linkage. Alright? Look. We have a destiny. We're infected. Whether you like it or not. I'm gonna tell you, if you hate me, but you are still here now, you're infected worse than other people. You're not even able to live your fucking free will life. You're sitting in the front of a video listening to a guy for over an hour that you hate. So come on. So, pray. Pray for brains. Pray selfishly for brains. Pray to be way smarter than the smartest person you know. Pray for yourself. Selfishly pray for yourself. That you can survive what's coming. And have some empathy. And pray for our people that are weak and are in hurt conditions. There's thousands of us here that don't watch anything spiritual at all. Think about someone other than yourself. And remember, the battle is against you. Grab a mirror, look your enemy right in the eye, and say, I'm going to be righteous. there's no cameras, there's no satellites at the time that these Masons push the theory that the Earth is a ball or a fucking egg. Actually, the Earth as an egg goes back to was it Egypt or Kush Hindu beliefs? You know, now Egypt was a powerful place. It's just that we know about God attacking Egypt. See, we don't recognize when God attacks Hindu Kush, and we don't respect the visual evidence left of on Earth of people being vulcanized. See, when we look at Pompeii and we know that the Lord controls the volcanoes, when we keep this into mind and we look at how Roman Pompeii was obliterated, again, people turned to ash in the poses that they were in when they were covered by this soot. It's easy to see the Lord's retribution. We will see the same thing here, but we don't respect that.
Above the axis of spin.
Okay, he's wearing a black shirt, right? Now there's a white couch, it's off-white, it is a white collared shirt. Okay. What color is his skin? Come on, go ahead. Anybody. You have red in the background, black on his shirt, white on his collar. What color is his skin? Come on, people. Playing the Masonic game. The Masonic game expands all the way to the moon. Not to mention the sun, right? The sun and the moon.
Is the pole star, Polaris, okay, directly over the North Pole. And we're told that the reason that all the stars spin around the North Star is because the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. Okay, seems to make sense, because if you put a long exposure camera pointing at the North Star, you'll see the stars will make perfect circles around, perfect star trails. The only problem is the Earth is also orbiting the Sun at 67,000 miles an hour. Okay, the Sun is moving, dragging the Earth and all the planets up that way or that way at 600,000 miles an hour. So why do we see perfect circles? You know, put an end to this topic once and for all, turn Hubble round and show us Earth in real time, zooming in onto a place so that we can see what's happening at that place, and we know that there is something up there looking down on us from space. But they will not do it. They can't do it. It can't. It doesn't exist. It literally doesn't exist. It's all fraud. It's all fake. Pretty much everything NASA puts out is fraudulent. Nobody has actually really gone all the way across Antarctica. Yeah. Now there are millionaires out there who could assemble the resources to make an expedition and completely go across and chart Antarctica and make a name for themselves, being the first person to do that. Yeah. But nobody ever does. Now you can actually measure the temperature of the moonlight next to the temperature of the shade of the moonlight, and you'll find the moonlight is colder than the shade, the opposite from the sun. So the moon is throwing out its own light, and that light is the opposite from the sun. Now that tells you that it's not reflecting the sun's light. It's producing its own, and its light is different from the sun's. So, you know, the scientific community have not told us this. Yeah, because they won't tell us this because it destroys this idea that the sun is, you know, is lighting up the moon. The other thing that's about the spinning Earth is looking at the stars. Now, directly, you know, because that's the slowest speed, that's slowest motion in that mix, and yet the Earth is moving 67 times faster that way, and 600 times faster that way. So you should see the stars do all sorts of strange motions, but you don't. You only see them make these perfect circles. That tells me that it's the stars that are moving, not the Earth. If a pilot is flying around the curve of the Earth, then he should be dipping the nose down every 5 minutes. He should be dipping the nose down to stay around the curve. But the thing that really got me interested was, as you say, the gyroscope. In a plane there is an artificial horizon, okay, and it's based on a gyroscope. And if you spin a gyroscope on a surface, it will want to stay upright. You can twist and tilt the surface as much as you like, the gyroscope will stay upright. So if a plane has a gyroscope and it starts following the curve of the Earth, the gyroscope would stay upright, which means the artificial horizon will start to roll backwards. But it doesn't. That's absolute proof that a plane flies over a flat surface rather than a curved one.
Now, all these things that he brings up, talking about, hey, you know, logical evidence of showing that the Earth is flat. He tells us over and over again through prophecy, but we don't respect that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you something that Mr. Smith brought. Is it ML? I think it's ML Smith. And it's almost a lesson. So we're going to look at some things that leads up to it. Now, these things aren't on the topic. It's just to show a series of lies. Now, I'd like to play that again, but you know, he's very well spoken. There's nothing you can really say to add to it. Sometimes simplicity is the best. Now, let's look at some things. So we last left off with King Drought, right? Entire kingdom of Israel found in Utah. Google Earth proof. The proof. So let's watch a little bit.
Utah. Come on, don't you play now.
So he goes from Judah City.
Crazy there. You check it out though. Last time it took me to Golden Spike. Judah City, I believe, in Utah. I put in Judah City. Wait a minute. It took me to Golden